Hello, this is the Mothman, and you are listening to the Paranormal Punchers.
Yeah, top hats to anal probing. That's how we do it around here.
Then they had a flatbread truck.
Man, a flatbed truck. That's the tastiest truck on the planet.
Holy moly, there's a Bigfoot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where's my phone?
Yeah.
It came into my suitcase. I threw it off
did what in a suitcase?
They attribute it to El Vampiro de Mocha, the vampire of Mocha. It was
Vampire of
Chocolate.
Mocha. Yeah.
That's right. Hey, stop all the beaming.
Stop all the beaming, UFO.
Hashtag stop the beaming.
Oh, man.
Hey, friends. Welcome to Paranormal Punchers. I'm Mark.
I'm Alicia.
I'm Nash.
Yep, that's right. No Dave.
Nope.
He's vaporized.
Now, I know what you're thinking. Like, sometimes that's normal days in there, but Dave's actually in India.
I know.
His job required him to fly to India. Oh, man. So he's probably chowing down some curry right now.
That's like a 20-hour flight. I don't know. That's
he was telling us like how long it takes. Like he wasn't going to get there till like he was leaving yesterday, and he wasn't going to get there till like Wednesday, right? Isn't that what he was saying?
I don't know. Not for
That's
me.
insane.
Well, but by flying to India, he missed out on our investigation of the Jennie Wade death house.
Yes.
In Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. Mm-hmm. Death house because this is where she died.
That's right. That's right.
She didn't live here, but she was there taking care of her sister.
Right. Before we get there, though,
Yep.
got a couple shout-outs like usual. Again, as always, thank you so much for sending us feedback. Send us your topic ideas. Send us your scary stories. I'm going to go through a few here. If I missed somebody, sorry. But we got a message from Emily. She's still enjoying listening to our podcast. Well, that's a good thing.
That's fantastic.
She says she's close to have listened to all of them.
Oh, boy.
Except this one because it just came out. Anyway, she wanted to know if we had a chance to check out the Linwood University. It's tucked away in St. Charles, Missouri, where she also got her bachelor's. She said there's a lot of paranormal activity. So, I don't know. We'll have to check that out.
Yeah.
We'll look into it.
Thank you so much, Emily. Keep the topic ideas coming. Emily gave a suggestion for Lemp Mansion, by the way.
Oh, did she?
Oh,
If you guys,
Okay.
if you guys
Okay.
forgot.
I was
Thank
like,
you.
there's a lot of paranormal stuff in Missouri.
I know. Now, let's see. Robert dropped us a message on the Facebook group. He said, your podcast is amazing. 12 stars.
Oh, nice.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to argue. You guys have awesome personalities. You always make the stories exciting to listen to. So thanks for what you do. Thank you for listening and
You're welcome.
interacting.
And thank you.
Thanks, Robert. That means a lot to us. Let's see. My boy Sean from Moses Family Jerky. He dropped a funny message on the Facebook group. Greatest creature name ever. Puckwudgie.
Puckwudgie.
It's fun to say. You can't say it without smiling. Puckwudgie.
Puckwudgie.
Now, Sean also had this whole thing that he thinks 10 Puckwudgies can beat Bigfoot.
Oh, yeah.
I disagree. That's insane.
In an upcoming episode, not this one, in an upcoming episode,
Okay.
we are going to have a battle royale. Bigfoot versus 10 Puckwudgies.
Okay.
We're going to figure out who would actually win because,
Okay.
we're going to make up the rules for this little game.
Ooh.
Should be amazing. Thanks for the idea, Sean.
Puckwudgies. Puckwudgies.
It is fun to say, right? Yeah. Sarah, she dropped a message on the Facebook group. I know, I was talking so fast.
I know.
My daughter has a theory why we usually get reports of one Bigfoot. My daughter has a theory why we usually get reports of one Bigfoot. She reckons that they live in families, but one parent always stays home with the baby big feet. Her word. While the other one goes to find food. Not a bad theory for an 8-year-old.
Oh,
Yeah,
Actually, not a bad theory at all.
no.
They follow the hunter-gatherer mode, I guess.
Maybe,
yeah.
One goes out, like the lionesses go out and hunt.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Thank you, Sarah. And thank your daughter for a great idea there. A great concept, a great theory. Let's see. Kira dropped a Facebook review. Only found out about you guys 2 days ago.
Oh.
and I only have 2 more episodes left.
Oh my
Wow,
gosh! What else have you done with your days? Jeez.
I love have you guys talk about theories about all the subjects. Very entertaining. I recommend this podcast to anyone into the creepy, cool, ghostly, and not so normal. I actually like how she says it.
I know.
Creepy, cool, ghostly, and not so normal.
That could be a really nice
That pretty
tagline.
much-
I know.
I like that.
That sums everything up.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kara. Thank you so much. Craig from the UK. He says, I recently found your podcast via Spotify. Spotify's paying off
I know.
and have been catching up with previous episodes. Loving it so far. So much more entertaining than other paranormal podcasts. Hearing some of the stories you talked about reminded me of something that happened to me a few years ago, and I thought I'd share it with you.
Oh, okay.
Dun, dun, dun. That's where we pause, because we're going to share this story into the second half of the show.
Ooh.
This story is really cool.
Oh, yeah?
But no puck wedgies.
There's no
No.
puck wedges.
Oh, thank goodness. Thank goodness.
So, Craig, I'll thank you now, and I'll thank you later when we read your story. Dylan from Kentucky said, hey, guys, Dylan from Kentucky here. Love your show. Listen all night at work. Helps the 12-hour night shifts go by. And even got a few of his coworkers to listen to us.
Ooh,
That's amazing.
that
Very
is.
nice. Aside from a
Thank you.
12-hour night shift,
Yeah.
brother.
That's terrible.
That is
oh,
terrible.
man, that's rough.
He also sent us a little paranormal story. Hopefully I can get to that on the second half, too. Dylan, thank you so much.
Awesome.
Let's see here. Let's see. Saturday Night Adventures. Oh, Saturday Night Adventures.
Wow, that's a whole
different
That's a
podcast.
different podcast.
They said on Instagram, hey, punchers, I was hoping to hear more about the Albatwitch and the festival. I don't know why I'm reading it like an angry voice. Hey, I was hoping to hear more about this. We started listening a few weeks ago. You guys kick ass.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. And Saturday Adventures, next episode.
That's right.
It will be about the Albatwitch.
Yep.
It will also be about our adventures at the festival.
Yep.
That's right.
And what we did, who we ran into, any of the craziness that followed that. So,
Hopefully we have some, but not too much, but just enough.
so thank you so much. And we'll see one more here. Let me find it.
Let's all go to the lobby.
All right. So some more reviews on iTunes, which they're always great. They help the show.
yes.
So if you feel like giving us a review on iTunes,
Go
do
for it.
please. But Big Papa Puck, he dropped a review there. He said, great podcast about the paranormal. And he says that the star of the show is Dave.
Ha.
With
What?
his witty banner and comedic one-liners. And he also said his favorite episode is the one with the No Sleeves Bro guy that was on it. That's because Big Papa Puck is from the No Sleeves
Yeah.
Brocast. Thanks, buddy. Thanks for listening.
Yep,
Thanks for enacting.
thank you.
And obviously the joke is Dave's usually quiet.
Uh-huh.
Right,
I know.
right.
Except last episode, we couldn't shut him up.
I know.
He was on a roll.
He was. Imagine when he comes back from India.
I know.
And let's see, my boy S. Wriggler here says, love listening to a group of funny, witty, and entertaining people. Great topics and hilarious conversation. Dude, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Appreciate it. Here's the one I'm going to end on. This one really got me in the feels. This is on iTunes review from Boppy Loves This Show. I listen to you guys with my daughter before she goes to sleep. She is 8 years old. She is an 8-year-old burgeoning ghost hunter.
Ooh.
And she finds your show fun, funny, and loves the creepy parts. Judge me a terrible parent, but she loves a good scare. We are liberal with language and are geeky enough to follow all the pop culture references. Keep up the great work.
Oh.
Thank you. Thank you.
Boppy loves the show. Thank you so much for listening.
Yeah, thank you.
I don't think you're a terrible parent.
No.
I think that's awesome. I'm glad she enjoys listening to us. I'm the only one that sometimes uses the bad language. So sorry about that.
We do try to keep it pretty
Yeah,
clean.
we
We try.
try.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that people can tune in with their family members. That's spectacular.
Yeah.
So, without further ado, thank you, everybody. Hit us up with iTunes review. You could drop a review on our Facebook page. Send us a message at paranormalpunchers.com. We love you. Now, before we get to the Jennie Wade,
Oh, boy.
I wanted to say a big old thank you to our new partner, Living Among Bigfoot. I don't know why I paused there. It's right in front of me. Maybe I should put my glasses on. Now, this is a book series. Liz, you talked about it several episodes ago because you read like the first one.
The first one, yeah.
And you've read a couple more.
Oh, yeah.
And the really cool thing is this comes out the 15th of every month. So it's like it's ongoing saga. And
Every
each month
month?
you get a new...
Really?
A new adventure, a new
it's
saga,
like a new installment.
chapter, a new installment.
Yeah. So like of this ongoing saga, yeah, it's just like the next chapter, I guess you would say, in a way.
And you're in the midst of what? Number 2, number 3?
I just finished book 2, and it literally picks up right off where the first one ends. So the first one was kind of setting up, like he moved to this area, he bought this house, and you know he's wanting to have kind of a quiet life and really focus on work. And then there was these creatures that he didn't quite understand. But then the second one picks up. So the first one ended on a cliffhanger.
Okay.
It ended to a point where you're like, oh my God, what happened? I have to read the next installment. So on this one, it picks up after that. He basically is...
Don't give too much now.
I know, I'm not going to, but he has a confrontation and ends up... What?
Is there kung fu?
No.
Oh.
There is a...
You can't kung fu Bigfoot.
You could do kung fu Bigfoot. Oh my gosh.
He runs. He runs, and one of his neighbors ends up kind of saving him, bring him into the cabin, and it just kind of like you learn about these neighbors and like how they got to this point.
Okay.
So yeah, and it ended to a point where I was like, I cannot wait to read the next installment.
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, and he's up to, let's see, 9 of them?
Yeah, I know.
Like I said, they come out the 15th of every month on Amazon. Just go to Amazon, Google Living Among Bigfoot.
Yep.
Check it out. I think you'll enjoy it.
That's a great idea. I like that idea.
Now I'm like thinking, like, how can we make a comic book with Bigfoot and Kung Fu?
Right?
Maybe Bigfoot.
Right?
Maybe Bigfoot is like a Kung Fu master.
Bigfoot foo.
Bigfoot Fu?
Bigfoot foo.
Oh, that would be like the technique.
Ooh.
Yes, that's right. He would have his own technique.
His style.
His style is Bigfoot foo, baby.
Like Bruce Lee had Jeet Kune Do.
Yeah.
Bruce Lee has big feet Fu.
Okay.
Bigfoot foo.
Oh man, that is a martial arts movie in the making.
That's right.
boy.
That's right.
Love it. Love it. All right. You know what I loved? I loved going down to Gettysburg
Yes.
and getting a chance to investigate the Jennie Wade death house with Sean from Moses Family Jerky, and Eric, who was an exceptional guy, giving us lots of great details.
Oh yeah.
I know I told you guys, if you're listening, you better be listening. Said thank you already, but thank you. I mean, it was an amazing night to get 2 hours with just this crew. Was incredible, and I had an incredible night. Now, for those that don't know anything about Gettysburg or Jennie Wade, Liz, tell them a little bit about Jennie Wade and what happened to her.
Sure. So Jennie Wade, she lived in Gettysburg, and during the Battle of Gettysburg, and at the age of 20, she was the only direct civilian casualty of the battle. Like, she's the only civilian that was actually killed, and it was by a stray bullet on July 3rd, 1863.
Now that by itself sounds pretty amazing.
Yes, she's the only one.
She's it.
Yeah.
That's it. That's amazing.
A lot of soldiers died, of course.
Right. But not
she's
civilians.
She's the only one that she wasn't even fighting or anything. She just was kneading her bread.
She's making some bread.
Yeah, she's kneading some bread to make some bread for the soldiers.
She was making waffles,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah,
No, not waffles.
Definitely not waffles. Yeah, in fact, she had already walked back and forth to her house like twice.
Yeah.
In this battle and did not get hit.
Nope.
That's amazing also.
Yeah, and she had actually, when she was baking bread, she had propped, there was a door inside the kitchen area. She had propped that open. So this bullet came from Confederate sniper fire, came through the front door, through the second door,
Yep.
and then hit her in the hip area.
I think that's what he said, and then it ended up in her corset or up in her her chest or something, right? It killed her immediately.
Yeah.
But
Well, we got to keep in mind also that the stature of people of that time.
she was short.
Was teeny tiny.
Yeah.
She was teeny
Still,
tiny.
for that to hit that door, the other door, and then kill her.
Right.
Now, this is where I would like to cut over to our recording from that night.
Okay.
Because Eric and Sean, they give some details. So after Jenny was hit and killed, there were some Union soldiers on the backside of the house that heard her screaming, and they came to see how they could help. And that's where we're going to pick up with Eric, the guy giving us the details and the history, and then it leads into a little paranormal talk about what goes down at this house.
Yeah.
Okay.
And hopefully you find it as interesting as it was for us to be there. Mm-hmm. So let's check it out.
Just behind us, out on East Cemetery Hill, was kind of a picket line. All right, and those soldiers heard screams coming out of the house. Well, they did something very brave. They didn't have to do it. They left their positions, walk around the east side of this house into Confederate rifle fire to see who's in this house and try and help them, because they went out of their way to help when they could. Well, when they come in, they find Jenny, right? They'd never seen a woman killed before, so they had no idea what to do. But they knew they have to evacuate her. Well, when they look in the parlor, then there's Mom, Georgia, her newborn, Harry, and Isaac. So they got 6 people they got to get out of this house. And they can't go out this door, and they can't go out the parlor door because the fighting's literally right outside. Georgia had remarked to them that maybe we can get out through the hole in the wall upstairs. But that hole was only the size of a dinner plate, so they can't get through it. So imagine they're up there half an hour, the fighting's going on, they're kicking at the wall, hitting it with their muskets. They finally make it through to the McLean family home. There was a separate family lived on the other side. Mm-hmm. So they went through both of their bedrooms, down a back staircase, out the kitchen door into the cellar. From here, they carried her up and all the way through the house.
Wow.
Now just think after all that happened. Just lost your sister, your daughter, your aunt. They stayed down there for
17, 18 hours, something
yeah.
like that.
During that time, guess what happened? Only a couple hundred yards away from that way, Pickett's charge. So now it must have sounded like you're grieving for your loved one, and now it sounds like the whole house is going to collapse because it's the largest barrage ever put on the northern hemisphere.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, Jenny was killed 8:30 in the morning, and Pickett's charge was, what, 4:30 in the afternoon on July 3rd? So.
Wow.
I mean, it's the whole story of Jennie Wade is just, it can never be repeated in history. No. It's impossible.
Yeah.
Just the shot, how they got out, it can never, 1,000 times, it could be 1,000,000 times, it could be played over, and it can never happen the way it did. It would hit the door and ricochet off, or...
Right.
Did anybody else die in this house?
No.
Just Jennie Wade.
Just Jennie Wade.
Even before her sister moved in, there was been no other deaths in this house. We knew the man who built this house because he had an identical one right behind it. His name was Charles Snyder. He built both these houses. He lived in that one and rented this one out. But in that whole time, since 1823 when it was built, nobody had ever died in this house except Jenny. She was the only one who ever died here.
Now, this was like a duplex?
Mm-hmm. And it still is.
So
Georgia, Jenny's sister had these 2 rooms, the 2 above us, and the basement. A completely separate family lived on the other side, the McLeans.
Okay.
They would have had kitchen and parlor, bedrooms, and a basement. So 2 different families rented out the house.
Okay.
All right, so flash forward to today, 2018.
Yep.
As far as the paranormal goes, what is happening?
I'll be honest with you, I don't get in the house much, so I have to rely on what the other guys tell me. We get a lot more activity in the basement. Mm-hmm. For some reason, James Wade likes the back corner of the room, and you guys will see when you go down there. There's just a little tiny bench. It'll sit 2 people. But he hangs out in the back of that room for some reason. And, of course, we have a display up front with Jenny's body. People get touched. We hear that all the time. One of our new guides, Sarah, she does the tours through here. Every time she goes down there, she says she feels like she's being watched, which isn't the first time we've heard that. On occasion, something's been happening lately with a REM pod that we have down there on our late night tours. We'll set the REM pod up on the trunk that's down there, and we have a little trigger object hooked to it. For some reason, it's the only place in the room that'll go off. It won't activate anywhere else. So I don't know who it is, but it's just a little locket that we have. It's got Jenny's picture in it, And the only way to make it work is to touch that locket and complete the electrical circuit. Wow. We don't know if it's James. We don't know if it's Georgia. It could be Jenny herself.
Why what brought James here when he didn't die here?
Here's the thing about James. He was never in this house that much. Mm-hmm. He was a tailor here in town. He had his own business. But he wasn't very well liked by many people in town. He was just difficult to deal with. He was an arrogant bastard. What we think brought him here... that he was anti-military, which aggravates me because I'm retired Army. Mm-hmm. And he had an illegitimate son that we think, and I'll call him out on that. He fucking hates it when I do that. Anyway, it's fine. But what we think, James wasn't here in this house much. He would have been up in the birth house because that's where they were. And then he had a shop in town. What we think brings him back here is Jenny. Because he wasn't here when she was killed. He was in prison. Up in Eastern State.
Okay.
So for 2 years, he was incarcerated there.
In Philly?
Yeah.
Eastern State.
Yep.
At the
Eastern State Penitentiary.
The famous...
Yes.
Oh, wow.
And we can verify...
In Philly.
Yeah, we can verify that. We know the cell block he was on. We know the years he was there. We know his inmate number.
Wow.
But they can't find the cell. Because back then, the Civil War part of it, they just had so many cells they didn't keep track of it. So we know for sure he was there because we did the research and found out. So when we tell people that, like, yeah, right, I've got documents to prove it.
Yeah.
Okay. But then even when he got released from there, he was sent back to Gettysburg at the almshouse on the north side of town. So he lived in the poorhouse for a while. Georgia and Mrs. Wade, it was reported, would go and visit him almost every day. And he would ask about Jenny. He'd say, well, is she married yet? Bring her with you tomorrow. I miss her. I really want to see her. But then Georgia would always say, well, Dad, she's dead. She can't come see you. But James didn't believe it. He thought his daughter disowned him for going to prison. He wouldn't believe she was dead. So we think that's why he's here, because he knows that Jenny is here, or he sees Jenny. We don't know why he stays back, but we think that's why he's still here in the house. Okay. The odd thing is, even where she's at on the other side of the house, his oldest daughter had this half of the house. So why isn't he here? He's on the other side with Jenny. And that's why we think he's here.
And James is a bit of a dick.
Yeah.
Yes.
Not a bit.
He is.
He was a tailor here in town. He had a pretty good business. But Jenny, Mom, and Georgia, they were seamstresses, and they were poor. All right? And the thing with James is what got him caught is a man had come in to his shop to have some work done. Well, he dropped some money on the floor, and James took it and spent it. He was caught just down in Maryland spending that money. What he should have done was take out an advertisement and say, hey, I found this, if it's yours, come back and get it. But not James. He just scooped it up and went spending it.
I mean,
which a lot of people would.
Most people would be like, "Oh, I found money on the floor." Yeah.
Wasn't the gentleman Sam Derberell the guy that wasn't he kind of like a big wig?
He had some
guy.
juice. Yeah.
He had some juice here in Gettysburg, and I think that's what turned James. Into
because Sam got the magistrate and everybody against James. Yeah.
So
he had him dead to rights.
Yeah. What I like to tell people on tours is when I was down there and they'd be like, "Oh, I seen Ghost Adventures," and Zach climb up on. Which he did, but put yourself in a father's shoes. Mm-hmm. All these people, weird looking people, or weird dressed, got girls now wear guys' clothing, t-shirts and stuff like that. Coming down, we have a mannequin there. It could be Jennie Wade laying there in his vision. And what are you people doing down here?
Right.
Leave me alone. I'm grieving. Maybe he's always stuck in that,
in that cycle.
That's one of those unexplained things. It's just that's what he sees to his day. And then, like Eric said, the reason I believe that he doesn't like Eric is a stern talker. Eric is a very firm talker. You can tell. Former military, he's affirmative. Yeah. He's affirmative when he talks. James doesn't like that because of 2 years of his life. He was told when to eat, when to sleep, when to pee, when to poop, when to play.
And he was vehemently anti-military. He was open about it, which aggravates me. I mean, if he doesn't like, that's fine. But there were soldiers in his house.
Right.
They were here when he wasn't.
Yep.
I'm sure he found out about that and didn't like it. He spoke out against the military. And, that's fine. He can do that, but I'll call him out on it.
You personally, is there something that happened to you here that you were like, okay, yes, I believe...
No, and here's the thing. I mean, I've been doing this for the last 10 years. I do about 200 tours a year through these buildings. Personally, I haven't had anything happen, and I've been told that it's because I have such a protective energy about me. It keeps things away from me. And I think a lot of it is to do with my demeanor. It's like Sean said, with me being in the military, there's not much I'm afraid of. Mm-hmm. my voice tends to carry. It's deep. I'm a direct person, so I think it's all that's going for me. Things kind of tend to stay away from me. So as far as personally, no, I haven't had much happen here. I've witnessed other things, heard people's stories, seen photos, that sort of thing. But to me personally, no.
So what about you?
Yeah, I've had when you start here, you start on the Jennie Wade tour. You don't really do the orphanage across the street because it is a harder tour and it has a lot more information. So a lot of the new guides here will do the Jennie Wade tour. So I've done a lot. Probably the last 10 years, I almost probably have done more Jennie Wade tours than Eric has done because Eric's a senior guide, so he does just multiple stuff. I mean, one evening I came in here, I come in and I check around like I normally do, just make sure none of the stuff's everywhere. And I came in and that clock on the mantle, the door was open. So I thought, all right, no big deal. I know about the legend of the clock or the myth about the clock. Not believing anything. I went up and I shut it. Went out, got my group. 45 minutes later, I'm back in the house with the group. It's open again. So for the next 15 minutes, I'm tilting the clock. It's an original clock, so I shouldn't really be tilting it. And Joe, if you're listening to this, I didn't do that. But it would not come open. You actually had to hold your hand and pull it. It was stuck, like swelled up. So I thought, no big deal, right? But doing tours, you hear footsteps, people. When I say whispering in my ear, I don't hear anything. It would be like me going to Nash and whispering, and you can feel me talking. You can feel the breath. And I had my name set in the house. Downstairs, it gets even a little bit better. When
This kind of freaked you out just a bit.
It did at first, but after that, it becomes second nature because it happens so often. You feel hands on you. You'll feel tugs on you, and you'll look around and nobody will be there. You'll feel that whisper in your ear, feel that breath on your ear, and it just becomes second nature to you. I've seen shadows. We've got lights all around the houses, and you just see shadows every now and then. But you can't really react to it because you have people with you. And I don't ever tell a personal experience on my tour because who am I? Who cares, right? They want to experience something for myself. Keep it short. The most amazing thing that ever happened was a former guide and a woman named Alexis who portrayed Mrs. Wade here. We were downstairs. I sat in with him. I did the upstairs portion, but I always used to go down and sit with him when he did the investigation part. Showed us how paranormal investigating goes. Great group of people. Young kids, older folks, just having a blast, laughing, hooting, hollering. We're cutting jokes. They're down there listening intently to the guide. When you get down there, there'll be a small bench on the right side, a white bench. Could sit about 3 people. This young girl, I want to say about 18, 20 years old, was sitting on the bench, having a great time. All of a sudden, she loses it, bawling hysterically, crying her eyes out. And Alexis was sitting beside her and was, what's wrong? So she was a Southern woman, real sweet talking. She says, what's wrong? She's like, I don't know. She's bawling her eyes. I don't know. What's wrong? I said, do me a favor and come up here and sit beside me. I'm way in the back, away from it. She comes up about 5 minutes later. She's sitting there, and I said, do you feel all right? She goes, I feel fine now. So after the tour, we let it all go. And I said, what was wrong? What happened? She goes, I don't know. All of a sudden, I got this feeling of sorrow and hurt and pain. And she goes, I just lost it. Well, we get out our ghost toys, as we like to call them. We start getting names. We start getting stuff happening. Stuff's going crazy. We end up finding out later. We get this woman's name. We end up finding out. We're like, who's this woman? It has no association with this house whatsoever. Ended up in the mid-'80s, early 80s, right out front of the house. A car accident happened, and a young girl lost her life. And that's the woman she was getting in the house. Now, that doesn't have to do anything with Jennie Wade, but why is she here? That was probably one of the coolest, I shouldn't say coolest, but weirdest things ever to happen to me in the house, other than the EVP of, follow him while I'm portraying the soldier in the house. So it's pretty, and you hear footsteps all the time. You hear stuff moving around, and you run up there, and it's Nothing up there. The cabinet in the far side of the McLean house loves to open, and you can pull in the cabinet yourself. It ain't coming open without force. So, other than that, I mean, it's just like second nature when you're in the house so many times. It literally is that you're home away from home so many times.
I figured you would get to a spot where if like someone's tugging on your shirt and you're like, hey, yeah, I'm just doing this. Just let me finish up. I'll be out here in a minute. You know, you just kind of...
Some of the guides do that.
Yeah.
Because they know that it's going to happen and they're okay with it.
Right.
Do you ever do at the end of the tour just be like, hey, it's not okay to follow me home?
No.
Yes.
Stay.
Yes.
You do that?
Yes.
Okay.
I say that and I will say it in my truck tonight when I leave.
Okay.
I've never done it, and I think it's because, like I said before,
Yeah.
I'm not messing with you.
Follow you.
And that's the thing. I mean, I don't think anything's going to attach itself to me or even bother me because I'm told that protective energy about me is so strong it just keeps everything at bay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I say it I'll be that guy.
It's okay. I think I'm gonna say it.
Yeah,
I'll tell you that.
tell our guests that when they come. They're like, hey, is anything going to follow me home?
It can.
There's a chance that it can, but here's how you handle it. And, we tell them in your own words, just say something like this. I'm leaving. This is your home. You can't come with me. And we tell people you've got to be firm about it, and you've got to be sincere.
Yeah.
And you'd be surprised at really pull their faces when they say that when they leave. So we tell a lot of people that, and they do it. And as far as we know, no one's actually had anything follow them home. So
There's nothing malicious in the house. Nothing will attack you or get you.
Right.
James, of course, is downstairs, but in the house itself, it doesn't feel. It feels very loving.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just the stuff, the creepies and the crawlies that crack around this house. I mean, you can tell just by this is the new floor. That's the original floor when we get upstairs.
Okay.
Any slight weight shift, it sounds like you're going to fall through the second floor of the house. So,
where should we start? All right, that was so epic to be there and have those guys take us through the house, but also give us all the history and paranormal history.
It's hard to believe that. I mean, every house has that much, level of detail and whatnot. But he really did a great job conveying the whole story and even some conjecture about where the bullet came from and just how things played out. I really geeked out. It was really cool.
Well, even the doors to their original doors, so you can see the bullet holes and everything.
Well, the whole outside of the building is marked with all the
riddled with bullet holes.
I think within the first day of the fighting, there was 150 bullets that hit that house.
That's amazing.
They were actually in between both sides of the battles. So both Union and Confederate, they were just in the middle of everything. But
now, so after that, we got a chance to start going room by room,
right?
And we had an EMF detector, we had a REM pod, we had a spirit box, and of course we had our own eyes and ears.
Yeah.
Some flashlights.
That's right. Headlamps, flashlights. Yeah, exactly.
Now, Nash, I didn't get too much a chance to talk to you because it was the whole day rain.
Right.
I know.
So it was just pouring all day. Even when we left, it was just
buckets,
pitch black. No stars in the sky, just dumping buckets on us, and we pretty much were like, "Later, bro."
Yeah.
So, I mean. Tell me about your experiences, because I have not heard if you experienced anything.
So when we got there, we all kind of ushered in. We hung out a little bit outside talking about the doors and the bullet holes and whatnot, and went inside. I didn't think of it at first, but it was weird. I didn't realize it till later. But so as soon as we all walked in, we were in that main room, and we're all talking. It was weird. There was a wave of something that hit me. It was so if you ever. The only thing I can kind of, draw a similarity to is if you're driving and all of a sudden you have an immediate sense of fatigue, and you're like, "Whew," you kind of have to shake it off. You're driving, and you feel the fatigue, and you're just like, "I just need to close my eyes, literally blink them, just shut them for a second."
Right.
So that happened when we were standing in the middle of the living room at 9 o'clock at night or whatever it was. So at that time, I'm never tired. And we're sitting in the middle of this room, standing, and I'm standing listening, and we're kind of checking things out. And I get this wave of not necessarily fatigue, but like I need to close my eyes and I was so close to just falling down backwards because it was just like a wave hit me and I had to shake my head, shake it off and be like, what was that? Hold on for a second. And then I thought, oh, well, I was just kind of tired. But then I was thinking about it on the way home and I'm like, wait a minute. No, it's 9 o'clock. I'm not tired at all.
Yeah.
So something was there. I felt that there was something there.
Okay.
Right as soon as we walked in the door. And then again later, towards the very end, when we were downstairs in the basement, I had another, not similar to that, but another incident down in the basement.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I had a couple. I haven't told her one of them.
Uh-oh.
This is very, very interesting. I'll save it till we get to the basement. Nothing for me when we got into the living room section.
Yeah.
I'm still listening to, Sean talk and tell us about some of the things. I wasn't really feeling anything outside of just pure excitement to be here and listening to these gentlemen just tell us these stories. But when we went up the steps, the second floor.
Okay.
You get to the second floor, and there's this chain. It's kind of roping off this one part of the room. And, number one, they don't want you going and messing around.
Right.
Yeah.
There. So they got the chain up because it's still decorated like some of the original beds and stuff. So stuff that could get broken and is irreplaceable.
Yeah, don't sit on it.
So one thing they say is this chain will just start to bounce on its own.
Okay.
And we got up there, we were staring at it, and it was bouncing. And, of course, right away, I'm like, well, is it because of us walking? Are we causing vibrations?
Yeah, there was 7 of us in the room, and
Yeah, everybody just stopped. We wanted to kind of relax. I think I even grabbed the chain at one point trying to calm it down. So I decided to take it off the hook.
Right.
When I took it off the hook, I got this just heard this weird sound like a boop. I was like, that was weird.
Okay.
Not a big deal. It was raining outside. But when I was holding that and I was talking to Jeff about it, I felt like all of a sudden the chain just started being tugged on.
Yeah.
Really?
Like it started like just pulsing. And I chained it back up. And I told everybody, like, that was weird.
Yeah.
But I was like, maybe it was just me. Was I pulling on it weird?
Well,
go ahead.
I was gonna say I kind of saw you from the other room, and it looked like you were pulling up a rope that was buried in the ground. The effort that I saw you do it, because it wasn't just like you just pick something up and relashed it. You kind of like you could see from the other side of you. You grab it, and your body like torqued a little bit because it was you needed more strength than just a passive just hanging
up. It did
up.
feel kind of like an energy, like there was like the chain was not alive. But if I would give you the other end of a rope, I would feel that tension from you,
right? And
it would, you know what I mean? And
it was resisting.
Yeah. I thought that was interesting. I couldn't decide if it was just me, but I'm glad you saw that it looked like because there was actual resistance on just a small chain.
I mean, it just looked like you were just like, oh, hold on for a second, and you got to use a little bit more, to be able to move it. And I'm thinking that chain is a weak little piddly thing.
I unhooked it again. I kind of heard that weird bloop. It's like that's definitely something. I did it a couple more times and never heard that sound again. Just those 2 times. But every other time I unhooked it and held it, I felt nothing.
Yeah,
just that first time. Now I sat there with the REM pod. Just saying, hey, if you come over here and touch this antenna, I could go off, and nothing.
Right.
It's not like I was expecting, like, we got 2 hours, man, and we're going to have, like, this place is going to be lit up because Paranormal Punchers is here.
We tried to schedule it.
I mean, it would be
they
great.
were really on our schedule.
I know. I shot a schedule down to everybody, all the spirits, like, hey, we're coming down.
We're going to be here. Let's do this.
I really wanted the REM pod to go off. That would have been cool.
We would have gone ape nuts crazy if that thing would have shut off.
Well, especially because this area is where they reported, like, these two little kids.
Yeah, I believe it's a couple children.
Yeah, so I was just saying, like, hey, this is a really fun game. I like to play games. You guys like to play games? And I was demonstrating how to do it, like, just trying to make it fun. But nothing. Just the chain.
Yeah. I guess people hear some children's voices up there. They see the bed skirts ruffle. People feel tugging on... I don't know if it's their hair or their ears or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was hoping we would experience that, but we didn't. So.
And they were saying something about the cabinets in the room, the doors opening on the cabinets.
Yes.
You know, I was dying to turn around, and after we were all kind of filing downstairs, I was like looking up the stairs, going like, come on!"
Well, he was talking about that. The 1 clock.
Right.
The door to the clock would be open. I was like hoping we don't let the tour come back around to go out.
It'd be open again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it wasn't.
No.
I don't know anything there happened to you guys once we got. That was the first room on the second floor.
Yeah.
No, and that was the only thing that I saw was the chain moving.
Yeah,
You know,
that was about it.
And how you guys were trying to steady the chain, and then it would just start moving again. And I mean, you could force the moving by going over to the stairs because the walls were thin, but nobody was over there.
Yeah.
And the chain just wouldn't stop. It was just moving and moving.
And you don't think old house just has natural settling or movement or
No.
just people walking. Yeah, that'd be weird if your house is just constantly.
Not at that point. That's an old house. If there's settling and moving, we've got issues.
I don't know. I'm just trying to throw out some stuff. I don't want to act like.
Yeah.
All right, that definitely something pulled back on that chain.
Yeah.
And it was, I just thought, for me, it was just seeing that chain there. And it was because when it was hanging, it was just going back and forth and back and forth. And how many times have anybody.
And sometimes it would bounce.
Yeah, it was bouncing. It was doing all.
It wasn't changed its pattern a little bit.
It wasn't like jumping rope or anything like that, but it was.
That would be
moving.
freaky.
That would be freaky. Yeah, totally. But it was moving, and it wouldn't stop. And you guys were stilling it, and then letting go, and it would move again. And that was like, huh, okay.
I know. Like usually, if you hold on to the chain, usually that should settle it, right? But it just like as soon as you let go, it just was doing the exact same thing.
It just picked right up.
Crazy.
Now we walked from that room. Well, once we did a little bit, we wanted to keep the thing moving. We had limited time. Walked over in the room beside where the kids' room was.
Right.
I know we hung out there a little bit. Did you have anything there? I know for me, nothing really. I just wanted to go through the hole in the wall that the Union soldiers did.
Sean said he felt or heard something because he was kind of sitting on the floor, and he was like, "Did you hear that?" And I was standing close to him, and I heard it sounded like somebody just hit like was on the first floor, hit the ceiling with a broomstick, kind of a thing, just like a whack, just like a thump, and I didn't think of it because I thought it was just the floorboards creaking or he was over there hit it with his shoe, and I look over and the dude's not moving, and he's like, "Did you hear that?" And the odd thing was the sound didn't come from him. I was only 5 feet away, but it was coming from between us.
Yeah.
The sound in the floor came from between us, and I'm not a small drink of water, so I know when I'm stepping on natural wood, it's going to creak and cry and moan and do all those things. I wasn't moving at all, and there was no creaking, and all of a sudden the thud came. So I kind of thought, I was like, okay, well, I'll give you that. That's in the realm. It's not a for sure thing, but it's in the realm. It could have happened. So I don't know.
Then we passed through the hole.
That was really cool.
Through the hole. Yeah, I know. I mean, that's like, stepping through. That's walking through time. Like this hole was here because those Union soldiers busted through there to get Jennie and her family down to the basement.
Right.
Yeah, they carried her body from the first floor all the way up to the top floor. Then they
busted that hole,
busted through the wall, and then carried her down to the other side, and then took her out to the cellar. But
just like Eric told us. On this story.
Yeah.
So got in the second room. For me, that area, the house, I really nothing for me.
I don't know about either one of you, but it just felt like the one side where Jennie Wade stayed and where the chain was and where had my thing in the living room. That side just felt, I don't know if it felt warm or active, or it just felt like a normal house.
Yeah.
When you went onto the other side, it was like a tomb on that side. It was quiet and still, and it felt like there was nothing was moving.
Nothing.
And nothing had moved in there for a long time. But the house, I mean, it had the same thing on both sides. So why did one feel so drastically different than the other one?
Yeah.
That's what was kind of, I was thinking about it, thinking this one felt warm and not alive, but it felt like there had been people in there. This other side, which has seen just as many people because they take the tours and you do that, it felt like still, like oddly still, super quiet.
Okay.
And like nothing has happened in this place for a long time.
Yeah, and I feel like we didn't do much on that side.
No, not really.
But that's when, from there, that's when we went to the basement.
Right.
Now, so, we were in the basement for, a whole 2-3 minutes, and we hear this bang.
Yeah.
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 And even Eric was like, what the hell was that? So the cellar door was shut, but we heard this bang, which was only like maybe, I don't know, 4 or 5 foot behind where the group was standing. Mm-hmm. He walks over, the door's ajar again, but now it's like ajar and jammed.
It's
Yeah.
stuck.
And
yeah.
stuck. Right.
So he has to like forcibly get it back down position. He was
Right.
like, look, that was shut the whole way. He's like, number one, it's raining. Of course I shut the cellar door. It is possible somebody saw us go in and thought it'd be funny to bang
True.
on or something to scare us and then ran off. But, I mean, it was pouring down rain. You had to be a real...
I find that highly unlikely. It was raining cats and dogs.
Yeah.
So that's how we started off. Now, the basement, like, this is a very... Imagine this house was built, in the 1850s or before. Old stone basement and dank.
Right.
It's got that smell. Mm-hmm. Of course, they have benches, lining so people could sit and listen to the tour guides for their regular tours. There's a chair up front by a display of, Jenny's. It's a mannequin, Jenny's body, how they brought her down here,
Right.
covered up with quilts. But so I sat in the rocking chair, no longer a rocker. They took the rocking part off.
Right.
Probably not a good idea, people rocking on. Sat in that chair, and then we just started doing some EVP sessions.
Right.
Tried some more of the REM pod, and of course we had the was it the Mel meter, the EMF detector.
Yeah.
Had that all out. I think it was pretty quiet. Now, while we were sitting there, within the first 10 minutes, I think we heard footsteps, like
Yeah,
just a few of them
upstairs.
upstairs.
Yeah.
Now we're the only ones in the building.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Dudes with the keys or with us.
They're with us down there.
And it was like just a few. It sounded like a couple steps or whatever, and then
Then nothing.
nothing.
Yeah. Just a couple. That was it.
So that was interesting. That was pretty cool. Because that's the kind of stuff, things that go bump in the night. Like, whoa.
Now, when we were all down there, now I think this, I don't know if I was the only one, but off when you come down in the basement, off on the right-hand side, there was a smaller bench or an alcove where...
Yeah.
That's where Jenny's dad likes to be up there.
Yeah, where James, her dad, was. So originally I was down over there sitting there, and because I'm the only crazy person, I was wearing shorts in 50 degrees and drenching rain. Yeah. And, okay, so, we're in this basement. Mm-hmm. It's stone all around, cellar doors, storm doors that are closed everywhere. No electricity other than what the guys bring in for displays and for lights and things like that. And we're sitting there, and I'm getting a breeze across my legs. And so you can kind of hear like a generator kind of running off to the side. And I thought, oh, well, it could just be a fan over in the other place just to keep the air circulating. And I had a breeze on my legs sitting there for probably half the time I was sitting there.
Like a consistent or a come and go?
No, it was just there. It was like, that's what I say. It felt like somebody had just a light fan, and it was just pointed down on the ground.
Yeah, because I peeked back in that section. There was no fan.
There was no
No.
fan. There was nothing.
Yeah.
There was nothing back in
In
there.
fact, when I did peek back in there, because I was like, I want to go back in this area, but we never did. Probably just storage and things like that.
Yeah.
And it was like dead.
it was just nothing.
There's nothing.
Yeah,
Just
there's
unused
nothing
space.
over there.
And so I thought, at first I was like, oh, well, there must be a fan because I can hear something. Well, it didn't dawn on me that right next to the Jennie Wade house is like a Marriott, or there's that giant hotel. So the
It's
hum.
the 1863 battlefield.
There you
Hotel.
go. Hotel. Yeah. And what I'm hearing is their generator and their AC, the hum from that being next door is what I could hear.
You could hear that?
Yeah, it was. That's why I thought it was a
Weird.
fan, because it
Okay.
sounded like a fan was in the room or an air conditioning unit or something.
So you could hear big machinery humming.
Not big machinery, but like how we can hear your vent on right now.
Yeah.
That's what it sounded like but in this other room, but there was nothing in the other room to create that
Yeah.
sound. And I was getting a breeze, so I was like, well, there must be a fan or some kind of an air vent somewhere,
Right.
you know, and turns out there wasn't.
And now Sean had said that Jenny, you're big and intimidating to Jennie Wade's dad.
Yeah.
So they had you switch with Lish because usually it's females that report being messed with.
Mm-hmm.
Because he doesn't care for Eric.
Right.
And
No.
probably you look like, somebody wouldn't take his crap. So he
Right.
didn't- yeah.
Now, did you, when you were over there?
Okay, so when I was sitting there, I felt on the right side of me the entire time that I was sitting there that it was cooler
Yeah.
than the other side. And then I don't know how much you want to put into this, but I immediately had a headache as soon as we went down in the basement.
Okay.
And then it went away as soon as we got out of the basement. So I don't know if there was something messing with me or if it was just, my head being my head. So I don't know.
But you had it on your whole right side.
Yeah, it was
though,
on
right?
my right side. Yeah.
Now, see, I was wearing shorts and a T-shirt, and so I have a lot of exposed skin.
Yeah.
And I was only getting it across my shins and not on the right side.
Yeah.
It's just,
I was wearing jeans and a hoodie.
yeah.
So for-
Wet jeans and a wet hoodie again because it was stuffed
Yeah, I
in
know. It
bucket
was
sauce.
bad. But I mean, for me to actually feel like I was kind of chilly
Yeah.
on the right side of me, that was a little bizarre to me.
And because if I remember correctly, that alcove that you're in has stone on both sides.
Yes.
So I don't know. Something was up in that corner because for us to have a similar experience but not exactly the same, I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Now, I was sitting in that chair next to the display of Jenny's mannequin dead body. And I don't know if you guys heard me a couple times. I kept, because Chris was a few feet back in in the little seats, the benches.
Okay.
Jeff from Punch Farm Podcast and his wife, Chris. And I kept asking her, like, did you hear that whisper? I kept saying, like,
You said that
I
like
just
3 or
heard a
4
whisper.
times. Yeah.
I was sitting there through the night, and then there was a point where I switched with Chris. I don't know if I made jokes or not. I had this intense, not headache, but pressure, like say sinus.
Yeah.
And I was like, this sucks, and I was relieved when I switched with her.
But see, that's what I
Ah.
felt when we walked in the room up on the first story. It was like a pressure on my head.
Yeah,
And
I
it
just
was-
didn't feel comfortable.
No,
Like I was just like.
It was like a waterfall or something right on your
And
head.
I feel it's very interesting that 3 out of 5, 6, 7 of us had the same sensation.
Right.
Was that the rain? Was that just the barometric pressure? Is that what it's
Who
called?
knows?
Barometric low pressure.
Right.
What?
It's very smooth. Don't worry. Don't you worry. Now,
I thought that was, but now I did. Anything else happen to you guys? Because I got a couple
No.
EVPs I want to run by you.
no, I mean, the only thing that I have is
Wasn't there also a knocking too at one point upstairs?
Yes, there was.
I think there was.
There
yeah.
was. I would say that I would know, not for a fact, but I would say with about 99% certainty that it couldn't have been barometric pressure.
Oh, okay.
The only reason I say that is I have a terrible arthritis in my knee. And if there's a shift in barometric pressure, it screams at me every time.
Okay.
So it had to be something else. It wasn't that. It wasn't that.
So I'm hoping that the listeners that will be able to hear what we're talking about here. All right, so we were going up the steps
Okay.
to the second floor, and I remark, I have literally, my wife can attest to this, put brand new batteries in the recorder. It was turned on as soon as we got in the house. So going up to the second floor, which we were only down there for maybe 30 minutes, I remarked how my batteries almost shot.
Yeah.
But right before that, at least on this clip, there's kind of this whisper. Now, there's also noise of us walking. Right after that is when I say about my batteries. Tell me if you guys think I'm Was it me sighing? I don't even know it. But here we go.
I just got a 5 spike for some reason.
Hey, my battery just...
Yeah, welcome to Gettysburg.
Now, what Sean says as we're going, he goes, whoa, I just got a 5 spike. He had his millimeter.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And then there is a little bit of a whisper. And then I say about my batteries. I'll play it again for you guys. See if you can debunk it. Hold on.
Rewinding, winding.
Okay.
That was Mark whispering, everybody. Not,
Yeah. That was me. Rewind. Here we go.
I just got a 5 spike for some reason.
Hey, my battery just...
right before you said
Yeah, welcome to Gettysburg.
So it's like a sigh.
Yeah, like Sean says, it's got a 5 spike. You can hear there's a little bit of noise walking, but there is like a...
There's like a
Right.
Yeah, like
And
a
then I'll
breathiness.
whisper. Does it sound like me?
I just got a 5 spike for some reason.
Hey, my battery.
No, it's like an O. It's
like
two
oh yeah
syllable,
or
right?
something or oh yeah or
Is every I just got a 5 spike. The spirit's like,
Oh, yeah.
oh yeah.
don't go broadcast.
I just got a 5 spike for some reason.
Hey, my battery just.
Yeah, welcome to Gettysburg.
So I don't know.
Who knows? Who knows?
Now it is that little section is a little louder because I bumped up the gain on the thing. But when I was listening back to this on the headphones, I was like, "What's that?" So I bumped it up so we could hear it.
And that's going to be true of all the sound bites that we're listening to. So FYI, it's going to get really, really loud, but you still got to listen really closely.
Yeah.
Now here's one where we're laughing and making some jokes about something. I can't remember. We said something about I glow. And after everybody calms down, there's also like a See if you can hear this.
Okay.
I don't think it's Chris or Alicia, but it does sound like a female voice. But it could be them. I don't know.
Nice.
You glow.
Right there. Yeah.
I heard like a faint whisper.
Right. And then shortly after that, I have to remark that
You heard a
I
finger?
heard something. Now, again, that's boosted.
Right.
So everybody listening doesn't have to have headphones and cranking the volume.
Yeah.
Do you think it's you
I'm not sure. It could be.
with
I
with
guess.
an extra little, nod to the joke, or
Yeah.
now it is boosted, so it was much lower. Just listen to it again.
Nice.
You glow.
Okay.
I heard like a faint whisper.
I would discount it immediately if I didn't you could just hear where you could almost hear it sense in me where I'm kind of just froze for a second.
Right.
Like,
Right. Like, what was that?
I just
guys
heard
hear that?
something. So I don't know. Could be us. This last one we're going to play, it's really faint. I really had to boost the level here. And you can tell when it's about to happen because you can hear
it
the
goes
static.
way up
It's
there.
really goes way up. But just listen, there's 2 things in this. One that Nash pointed out that I just thought was something else. But there's a whisper and then there's a ringing.
Kind of like like 2 metal pipes rubbing together very, very shortly. You'll see. You'll hear.
Tell us, James, if that's true or not.
That's yeah.
Yeah.
See, what I hear, and then there's a
Yeah.
you think it's like metal. First you thought like was someone rubbing a champagne glass.
Like when you rub your champagne glass and it vibrates and it sings when you do
Yeah.
that. When
Yeah.
you get your finger wet.
I don't
Kind
know
of.
why that would be, but here's what I hear, and I've probably been playing it back in my ear too long. Now, clearly, can you guys hear
I can
that
hear
whisper?
something, but I'm not sure exactly what they're saying.
Again, I had to boost it. It's there on the audio. Could it be one of us mumbling from across the room? Doesn't sound like it, but
What is it saying again?
I think it says, and like I said, I've been playing it too much.
We've been programming our brains here.
I think
so-
that's the problem.
Yeah.
But it sort of sounds to me like I'm gonna get them.
I'm gonna get them. Okay.
could be, but that doesn't mean it's bad. It could be like,
because the first time I heard it, I thought it was like the ringing or the pipes.
You didn't pick up on the whisper.
I didn't pick it up on the whisper, but after you said it, it's like, oh, I can
see.
Hear it.
I probably planned it in your head. I don't want to like.
That's okay though. Let's hear it again. Okay. I'm gonna get them.
Tell us, James, if that's true or not.
Okay.
Yeah. And almost a
yeah, kind of like a choo-choo train, right? Exactly.
Well, I don't know what it is, but it was there.
Yeah.
I thought I'd play it for you guys. I don't know if anybody listening has any thoughts, opinions. It could just be nothing, but either way, it was a very cool experience.
It was very fun.
I can't thank Sean and Eric enough for taking us on this adventure, and. Next time, I told him we were going to do the orphanage down in Gettysburg.
That sounds fantastic.
Especially since he has this picture of this mom and daughter taking a selfie. And behind them, peeking down the one steps, is what looks like this very...
Oh, my God. It's so creepy.
Like a demon child.
Yeah, like a disheveled hair, like a devil.
Maybe we don't want to go there. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I tell you where we're going to go. We're going to go to break. We'll be right back.
Oh, my God. Honey, look. It's Bigfoot.
No way. Let's go say hi. Hey, Mr. Bigfoot. What you reading?
You can call me Frank, and I'm reading the Paranormal Punchers comic book.
Paranormal Punchers?
Yeah, it's about a group of podcasters that get themselves in all kinds of paranormal trouble. It's like Scooby-Doo meets the X-Files, and it's hilarious.
Sounds great. Where can we get a copy?
Just head over to paranormalpunchers.com where you can find a comic book and all kinds of merchandise.
Thanks, Mr. Bigfoot. Have a nice day.
Thanks, you too. Oh, and look out for that bear.
Nash, what is like the one thing that could go wrong on a paranormal investigation?
Why, Mark? That's the lack of food.
People are putting in their backpack a EMF detector, a flashlight, a digital recorder, but if you forget that snack, your whole evening could be ruined.
That's exactly right.
So, if you head over to mfjerky.com, you can order some delicious beef jerky, and if you use our code SpookyJerky15, you can save 15% on your order, and it's a big savings. That way, when you're out doing an investigation, you're not going to worry about hunger pains. Your stomach's not going to growl and mess up a possible EVP.
Right.
And like we like to say here, Moses Family Jerky, the best thing to pack on your paranormal or normal adventure. And we're back. Mm-hmm. Hey, let me tell you what. This Moses Family Jerky, the Reaper and lime turkey, it has there's Carolina Reapers in it.
Oh boy,
it's
yeah,
great.
it is.
It's good,
it's
but
spicy.
it is spicy.
It's all right. Yeah, it's just right. I think it's actually just right.
Do you like the ghost pepper?
The ghost pepper is really good too.
I like the
That's
ghost
pretty good.
pepper
It's
one.
a slower burn. It's more back to the throat. I like it.
Now, before we jump into some listener stories, Liz, you had something you wanted to bring up about what some people experience here.
Some people experience
at the not here in the studio.
No,
at the Jennie Wade death house.
At the
death house, because that's where she was shot. She was born in a house only like 2 blocks up the street.
Yep. So some people have smelled bread.
Okay.
Like freshly baked bread. And it's stronger, I think, if Jennie Wade appears. So, like, if they actually see a ghost of Jennie Wade, then they'll definitely smell like bread. And then also upstairs, on the second floor, people have been they've smelled cigar smoke. And then also sometimes they'll find ash on their like feet or shoulders.
Really?
Yeah. So like, I really wanted to experience something like that. I was so disappointed that it didn't happen to me, but hey, maybe if you go, it'll happen to you.
Well, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't remember if Eric said it or not, but when Jennie Wade was shot, I mean, she was making bread at that time.
Yes.
So when they took her downstairs, or actually upstairs across through the hole and then back downstairs, she actually had bread on her hands.
It was dough. Yeah, she was kneading it.
Yeah. So I mean, I could totally understand that when she's around, you
when
can
they
smell
it. Yeah.
Sean sent me a picture. It's taken a corner of one of the rooms there. There's a little wash basin, and there's a little mirror. And in the mirror, of course, you can see the wall that's behind, obviously. There's a shadow of, like, must be a woman with a bonnet and holding something in her head. That could be like bread.
Okay.
He said he spent 30 minutes trying to debunk it. Couldn't replicate that at all. So it's weird.
Yeah.
There's some crazy stuff going on there, and it would have been really awesome if we all had really definitive experiences.
I know.
But there were, I mean, sitting down there and I don't know what happened to me.
Yeah,
there,
you can't, like I said, you can't expect to go somewhere and
right.
We scheduled this.
Yeah, I know we did schedule. I sent an email into the ether.
That's right.
They should know.
They put it out there.
True.
But it was an absolute
It was
blast.
so much fun.
It was.
I can't wait to the next one.
Yeah.
It's going to be spectacular.
We got to bring like candles. We got to bring something to help draw it out. We got to figure out.
Wait, what? Like you want to do like a Ouija board? You want to open up?
We could
door.
put pentagrams on our heads and stuff.
Oh,
you know.
God. I don't know about that. You guys can go do that. I'll stay at the hotel,
Maybe I
drink
won't.
some wine.
Yeah, maybe I won't do that.
Yeah, I think I'd rather go have a glass of wine.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, you're right. Actually, yeah.
Speaking of the weird, the strange, as I said, a couple people sent us some stories. We'd love to hear your paranormal stories. Please don't hesitate to send them to us. In fact, if we keep getting them, we might have to dedicate a whole nother episode again to them.
That'd be
But right
cool,
now, this one is really cool. This is from Craig from the UK. I will not try to be a jerk and read it in a British accent.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Because
Thank you
I
for that.
actually am not an actor and cannot do accents. All right. Hopefully I do a good job here. It's a little long, but I think you'll enjoy it. 10 years ago, when I was 17, I joined a night class at my local college. On the first night of the course, I arrived at the campus around 7 p.m., and it was pretty quiet. The classroom I was looking for was in the oldest part of the building that was originally built in the late 1800s. It was the end of October, so it was already dark at this point, and the old corridors were particularly creepy. Upon reaching the classroom, I found an older man, maybe around his mid-40s, locking the door. He was wearing an old-looking tweed suit and fancy shoes, which I thought was a bit out of place. He had an impressive mustache that was curled at the ends and some slick-back hair. I approached him and said, "Excuse me, I'm here for the introduction to psychology class. I was told it would be in this room." Without looking at me, he finished locking the door, put the key away in his pocket, and picked up his briefcase from the floor. As he turned and started to walk away, he said, "There's nobody here anymore." After he left, I looked through the small window in the door and could see that the classroom was completely dark. I tried the door, but it was definitely locked. I was confused and figured that I must have got the wrong room or the wrong date. The only way out of the building was a single staircase that led back to the lobby. So I walked that way, maybe 10 or 15 seconds after the old man, but never saw him again. I exited the building onto a large car park, and this guy was nowhere to be seen. I could see in each direction for maybe 150 to 200 yards, and there was nobody in a suit at all. There were other people around, but they were mostly students, nobody over the age of 30. The next day, I went back to the college psychology department and spoke to the head of the department about the class. I was kind of annoyed that I had paid for a course and that nobody was there when I turned up. The guy was really confused and said that he was the one teaching that course last night and that he, along with 27 other students, had been in that room from 7 until 9 p.m. He also said that there was nobody that matched the old man's description working in that part of the building at that time. He asked me to take him to the room I had been to, thinking that I got mixed up somewhere along the way. I walked back upstairs to the same room as the previous night, and he seemed even more confused at this point. The lecturer confirmed that he and 27 other people had been in the room for 2 hours on the previous night, and that no old man had been anywhere near the room at that point. The following week, I went back to the class and spoke to some of the other students. They varied in ages from about 15 to 45, and everybody confirmed that they had been there the previous week, as the tutor had said. The whole event played on my mind a little for the next few weeks, but I just carried on as normal. Just before Christmas that year, I was looking through the college website. I'm not sure why. I think I was looking for holiday dates for the year, and stumbled upon a page that detailed the history of the college. The college itself was used as a military base hospital during World War II, and a lot of British soldiers had been stationed there until the end of the war. As I scrolled down the page, I found a section about college staff members that served in the war. One of these, an English professor, was in the photograph of the faculty members from 1939. Sure enough, in that photograph was the man in the tweed suit that I had spoken to. I read further and found out that the man had worked at the college for years, but was drafted into the military and went to war. He was killed in Normandy during the Second War and never returned to England. At the end of the page was a memorial section, and his name was included there. He died at the age of 43 in the battle against the Nazi forces. To this day, it still freaks me out. I don't know how to explain what happened. Why was the room empty when I looked inside? 27 students and the head of psychology were in that room when I was in the hallway, but the door was locked. The lights were out, and the man that had died around 60 years earlier had told me nobody was there anymore. Weird.
Oh, God.
Thought you guys might like this. Maybe you could come up with a theory to explain what happened.
Oh,
All the best, Craig.
Oh, wow.
Huh.
That story
That's nuts.
is amazing.
I know.
So you have multiple things happening all at the
Even
same
with my
time.
poor reading of it.
So you've got the guy, you've got the ghost professor,
Yeah.
and but you also have Craig looking in a room and doesn't see anybody.
Right.
It shows dark and empty.
Yeah.
Yeah, does that story give you chills at all?
Yeah, I had goosebumps while you were reading it.
And for me, it was like, you running into this, it would seem strange. You wouldn't, odd running into this guy. I like how the guy's old. He's like 43.
Yeah, thanks.
I don't know what that's supposed
Thanks,
to mean.
Craig.
But to have a conversation with a spirit, this apparition that for some reason chose to show himself to Craig that night.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Was the weather like? What was the
Right.
perfect storm? Or why did the spirit just manifest for Craig?
Yeah.
What if it
Or
wasn't?
why was it messing with him? Like he
Was it
couldn't
going?
Even...
Yeah, was it repeating something from
Right.
his life? Just going
Right.
through,
Right.
locking up the class at night, telling a student like, "Yeah, there's no one in there, dude." Just I don't know. But for him to come across in this photo to know that this guy died in Normandy fighting the Nazis, and he saw that guy 60 years later. That's just an
Right.
incredible story.
That is.
What if
I couldn't even begin to even think how the paranormal works and why he would get a full body speaking apparition.
Well, and that I'm thinking. So you have the full body apparition. You have the fact that you can't see in the classroom and it appears dark and nobody's in there.
Yeah.
So what if it's not really so much the professor who's the ghost? What if it's Craig who was somehow disjointed for a little while?
Oh.
Because you had multiple things.
Trying to say Craig's a ghost?
Well, no, Craig's not a ghost.
I just got a ghost email.
Because he was in this place and he was viewing it in a different time somehow.
Oh, you mean like for a brief period of time, some dimensional thing? Craig was actually not in.
He was in a different dimension or something?
He was for a brief moment. He was in 19.
He was there.
Oh.
Yeah,
So whatever the perfect storm was that caused this, he kind of stepped into. So it was Craig that was.
It was Craig
displaced
and not the ghost. Because so if Craig,
that's why the door was
Correct.
locked. The room was dark.
Oh, wow.
And how would he know
Do you think the spiritual power was able to pull him into 19? When did he say the guy was a teacher? Keep going, Nash. I'll find the date.
Because I'm thinking he came up to the room and looked inside the room, so that means there's glass on the door. Yeah. So if there were people in that room, how come they didn't see him?
Weird.
Looking inside. I don't know about you, but whenever I've been in the class, I always want to be somewhere else.
So he was a teacher he was a teacher in 1939. So when Craig went up that flight of steps, something happened where he was all of a sudden in 1939 met this guy, the real dude, or something along those lines, or maybe it was a mix of the two. Met him because the people enough. Crazy. I'd like to know more about this college. Does it have any other type of things happening would have that kind of energy to draw Craig into 1939?
Because when he went up there,
hopefully it doesn't freak you out, Craig, that you might have actually been pulled into 1939 for a brief moment.
Well, it was only Craig and the professor, and that's it. Nobody else was there until Craig then left and went back up the stairs or wherever outside the one stairwell to get out. So in that area, it was just the two of them. But that's incorrect because there was a full classroom full of people with a professor that would have seen this guy look inside and as if, should I come in there or something like that? Right. They would have seen him. So, but they didn't. And then as Craig left, came back, there he is. And then I would almost guarantee if Craig turned around and went back down there, he would have found the class full of people. Right, similar to like The Shining.
Wow.
You know, like when you're walking through the bar and the bar is active with people, or it's not, but it's who knows? Who knows?
It's an absolutely wonderful story. Thank you so much for sharing it with us, Craig. Hey, let's keep it going.
Okay.
We have another story here from Johnny. Johnny sent a story. We had the listener episode. He's the one who was camping with the scouts and started having Bigfoot toss some rocks. You guys remember that story?
Yeah.
That's right. Okay.
He sent a bunch of stories, but I picked one out for today.
Okay.
Again, Johnny, thank you for being part of the show. Liz, you going to read this one?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. So the first paranormal encounter I remember happening to me was when I was in high school. My church's youth group was taking a trip, and we were going to leave early the next morning. So we stayed the night on the church property. All the guys stayed in what had been built as a hangout over the church's garage, including a pool table and a big screen TV and a N64. All around the room was several couches and a small recliner. When everyone took different sleeping spots, I claimed the recliner because I had heard that that they were supposed to be comfortable. I discovered quickly that it was comfortable for sleeping, but I waited until it was dark and everyone was asleep, because after taking up the fact that I got the recliner, I didn't want the embarrassment of admitting.
I think he discovered quickly that it was uncomfortable for sleeping.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But I waited until after it was dark and everyone else was asleep, because after taking up the fact that I got the recliner, I didn't want the embarrassment of admitting that it wasn't that great. So I got up, crossed the room, and found an empty couch. I laid down on the couch, and just as soon as I did, I looked back at the recliner. As soon as I did, I saw the recliner lay back with no one in it. Then the chair sat straight back up. I then saw what looked like the white cloth of the bottom of a lady's dress, glowing white, flutter across the room, stop at the end of the air mattress some of the guys were sleeping on, and disappeared. I sat straight up on the couch, and needless to say, I did not get any sleep that night.
Yeah, nor would I.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah,
Wow.
that would scare the crap out of me, I'm pretty sure.
Holy Moses. So you saw the recliner move. That would freak me out. And then snap right back up.
Mm-hmm.
So the question that I have is kind of like with you two, Mark and Alicia, is that with that ghost there, so was he like offering his friends up the way Mark does with you?
No, you mean because he got out of the recliner and let here, you have it.
Yeah, you have it. And everybody's sleeping, and he's like, hey, these guys are sleeping. You do that.
Oh, I doubt that.
Oh, boy.
I just wonder, like, why it messed with the chair after, but also when it kind of appeared a little bit, went and hovered over near the other kids sleeping.
What was it
Maybe
doing?
what was it checking on?
Checking on the kids.
Oh, maybe.
Was it like
Mom was getting up from her chair
maternal?
and
Maybe
checking up on the kids.
getting off the chair, checking on the kids.
Yeah, or it could have been pervy. But
God.
I think it could have been maternal.
After you throw that other one out.
I just want to say.
Way to gnash that one up.
Right, exactly. I see it as a maternal instinct, checking on the kids. I check on my son every night. You just do that.
I don't know. I mean, I think we all want to see something like that, but in the moment, I'm pretty sure, I would just be sitting up all night. I'm like, guys, we're firing up the N64. No one's sleeping.
Well, it's an N64 too, which is one of the best.
why were they sleeping?
Arguably,
N64.
the best console.
Well, they had to
ever.
get up early.
Right.
Right?
Who needs sleep?
Who needs sleep? It was a sleepover, or whatever.
And one more. This is from Dylan from Kentucky.
So I've got this one here. So one Sunday in 2012, in the Wayback Machine, 2012, my family had left to watch a wrestling pay-per-view at another family member's house. I chose to stay home and had a friend come over. So she comes over, and everything is fine and normal. And when she goes to leave, she rushes out of the driveway fast and loud. I thought that was weird. So she gets home and texts me, "There's a freaking blue face staring out at your window at me." Now, it was a little bit more graphic than that, but we have little ones listening. There's a freaking blue face staring out the window at me. I still remember that text quite vividly, but I always thought that blue, as we called him, was fake and just something my family had made up to try to scare me. But once she'd seen him too, that really freaked me out. I was home all alone around 10 p.m. at that point and scared out of my wits now. My stepdad wasn't going to be home for a few hours, and now cabinet doors are opening and shutting on their own. And long story short, I sat outside the rest of the time until they got back. So that's my story. What do you guys think? What is a blue spirit? I've heard several things, but would like to know what you think and would love to hear my story. And you know what, Dylan, thank you so much for writing that in. I got to tell you, a blue story, a blue face flying around, messing with the cabinetry in the house.
I know.
Scaring off the girls.
Oh, boy.
That could have been, who knows? I mean, could have been just the opposite. It could have been a previous dad scaring off suitors.
I don't know.
Who knows?
I don't know. I mean, he says his family left to watch a wrestling PPV pay-per-view. He didn't go. He invited a friend over.
Netflix and chill.
I'm like, oh, okay. But irregardless, first off, the cabinets and everything. I mean, everything we've talked about, watch documentaries on, watch real movies on. That's like right up. That's poltergeist activity.
Yeah, I know.
Why do poltergeists not dig on cabinetry?
I don't know.
Isn't
They
it
like it.
Isn't it the easiest? Wouldn't it be like it's the very easiest thing to scare the living crap out of you?
I guess.
Yeah, no, I was watching a Ghost Adventures episode. It was like the Lion's Head Inn or something. Mm-hmm. Anyway, but they had this door, it creaks open. As they're all sitting there like, wow, weird. Mm-hmm. And they're like, did you just open that door? Can you shut it? Can you shut it? Can you shut that door, please? Wham!
Yeah.
Slam shut. Now, obviously, I think poltergeist, it's the easiest thing. Like, if there's nothing there and the doors are opening and shutting, you're going to be like, I'm getting the heck out of here.
Right.
Done.
I don't know if that's why they do it, but it's certainly, if they could manifest enough energy, that would be certainly a fast way to scare the living crap out of a human.
Do you think poltergeists and snobs are snobs for good cabinetry? And they're only doing that to older cabinetry that needs replacement?
Oh, maybe.
Maybe they're former contractors.
They're actually working for contractors?
Yeah, I do, right? You need new cabinets. I don't know. I just hear a lot of doors slamming and cabinetry being abused.
Dylan, I've actually never heard of this, the blue face.
No.
I do know that what's really freaky is she left, she got in her car and looked, and there was this blue face thing staring back. I mean, it was in there with you.
Yeah.
So that's freaky. It'd be freaky to see the blue face, but as she peeled out of the driveway, because he thought it was weird that she was,
Right.
She split, left you in there with that blue face demon.
So, okay, so that's why I say there could be an ulterior motive to this blue face. Because the parents are away watching pay-per-view, okay? Son is left at the house. Girlfriend comes over for a little Netflix and chill action. You know, there's a ghost face in there, and he's, like, into it. I see a whole different.
Unless
thing
it was
happening.
the Blue Man Group and they were slamming the covers like doing their music thing. I don't know.
Who knows?
I don't know. But thank you for sharing your story. I've never heard of that. I'm gonna go look it up.
We're gonna go.
Really interesting. I know personally.
That's right.
I would not want to see that.
No,
and I'm gonna try to see if is specific to nice cabinetry versus standard cabinetry or maybe old cabinetry, and see if there's a difference. Maybe that's the research I'll be doing.
Okay.
Now I definitely wanted cabinet doors to slam at the Jennie Wade.
Oh my gosh, yes. That
Here
would
in
be
my own
fantastic.
house, no.
Not so
thank
much.
you.
No,
Yeah.
not so much. Not so much. You're gonna get to sleep and not be startled.
Yeah.
As always, guys, I love hanging out with you. Listeners, I love you interacting with us. You're the best. Go over to paranormalpunchers.com. You'll learn more about us. You can click on stuff. You can get a cool t-shirt. You can get find your way to beef jerky. You can find your way to living among Bigfoot. Drop us a review on iTunes. What else, Nash?
Now, isn't there something coming up here shortly? Maybe a
Oh,
festival?
my God. Thank you so much.
Right.
We are going to be in Columbia, Pennsylvania. I know everybody's like, well, that's so close to me. For the Albatwitch Festival.
That's
this
right.
festival celebrates, the way I can describe it is just little Bigfoot.
Not Puckwudgies.
Not Puckwudgies.
No.
Maybe we'll discuss that.
Yeah.
We're going to be there. We're going to have a booth set up.
That's right.
We're going to be selling our comic book. If you say comic book, yes, we have a comic book. Go get one.
Yep.
We'll have our comic book. We'll have T-shirts. And don't worry. If you live too far away to make it, we'll tell you about it, how our day was. And remember, we're going to have the first ever cryptid fight.
Battle Royale.
Ew.
Well, is Puckwudgie a cryptid or is it something else?
I don't know.
Either way, it's going to be a great episode next time. This was a great episode. Everybody, you rock. Alicia, remember, if it's not weird,
It's not worth checking out.